Y'all like salsa? More importantly, do you like salsa that's real close to the salsa that you get in like a Mexican restaurant or something like that? If you do, and if you want to learn how to make it and can it, then stick around. Hey y'all, it's April, and thanks for stopping by my channel, My Crazy Creative Life. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber or just a returning viewer, I guess you could say, then welcome back. As the intro stated, today we are making some homemade, fresh, I might add, homemade salsa. If you've seen all of that spread of tomatoes and peppers and which was bell pepper and banana pepper, banana pepper and jalapeno pepper, and I had all kinds of stuff out on that table. If you've seen that, I know I did a short and I'm not sure what else I did, but anyway, if you've seen all of that, then it's partly what I done with that. I made some salsa. And oh man, it is good. I made 2 batches. One is a little bit sweeter and it is not hot or barely hot. I mean, it's something my parents could eat because they can't eat hot stuff anymore. And then I wanted to tweak it just a little bit further, and so I made another batch the next day, and I reduced a little bit of the sugar, and I added more seeds and more of the membrane inside the jalapeno peppers. And oh gosh, it turned out really good. Even my oldest daughter, which this is high praise coming from her, but she ate some that night and she said, "Oh mama, this is good. This tastes like the Mexican restaurant." So, you know, that comment coming from my kid, that's pretty high praise. So anyway, tomatoes are garden fresh, the peppers are garden fresh. The cilantro was from Walmart. Other than the cilantro, for the most part, everything's garden fresh, so it makes it super duper good. And then I've got several canned to last us throughout the winter. So I'm gonna shut up Gavin now, and let's go ahead and jump into the video.
Here all I'm doing is washing my peppers. I'm gonna need 2 cups worth of bell peppers and 1 cup worth of jalapeno peppers. And I'm just washing them like I've showed you how to do in the past. Alright, next I'm dicing up my onion, or cutting up my onion. I need 2 cups of onion. I use my little dicer thing, the thing that you put it on the blades and then you slam it down. I must have not realized I didn't have that in camera, and I'm sorry. I think I do move it over here soon. But I try to chop up everything that I can using that. That way, all of my pieces for the salsa are pretty much the same size, with the exception of the tomato. I do cut the tomato bigger. But anyway, so I've got it on the smaller side, the smallest blade setting. Here you see the size it dices it up to. So I'm just measuring out to make sure I've got 2 cups. Then I just pour it in my big mixing bowl. Next, I'm going to cut my bell peppers. Now, it's up to you if you want to put the seeds in or not. I'm not. Not for this. For 1, it'll make it a little hotter. For 2, I think that would be a lot of seeds for salsa. So I'm cutting out majority of this membrane and all the seeds. And I'm going to keep chopping these up until I get 2 cups of them as well. And then we'll move on to the jalapenos. There it is. I finally put my chopper in view. And I'm just going to measure and make sure I have 2 cups of bell peppers. 2 cups of peppers. I'll add them. Now I'm just washing my Roma tomatoes. Right, if you watch the paper jelly, you heard me tell you, wear gloves when you are cutting peppers, jalapeno peppers, because that capsaicin can last on your hands. And if it does, then just take you some vinegar, whether it be white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, and kind of rub it on your hands and then wash, and it should help remove some of that capsaicin. We need anywhere from 3/4 to 1 cup of peppers. So I'm doing probably a cup, but I'm cutting out the seeds. I don't want, because that seeds, unless you want your salsa super hot, if you want it super hot, then by all means keep your seeds in there. A few might go in and that's okay for me, but I don't want it super hot. So I'm just going to continue cutting out these peppers, chopping them up in my cutter the same as I did the onions and the bell pepper, and then we'll continue. Okay, so I've cut them up and I've rinsed them off. Now I'm gonna dice them. And now I'm just measuring out 1 cup of jalapeno pepper. Ended up being just slightly over a cup. It may be a cup and an eighth. It's just a little bit over, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just throwing that in there. But I'm gonna make sure, because with salsa, the pH level needs to be 4.6 or lower. So once I get all this made, I'm going to test it to make sure that we've got enough acid in here to be able to can this safely, okay? All right, so next we need 10 cloves of garlic. I'll be doing the tomatoes here in a little bit, but we need 10 cloves of garlic and a cup of cilantro. But let's go ahead and get the garlic. I think everyone knows this trick, but just in case you don't, an easy way to get the skin off the garlic is take your knife and press down on the clove and kind of squish it just a little bit, and then you can remove that outer skin or whatever you want to call it. And now I'm just going to use my garlic press to squeeze out the garlic and I guess mince it up, you could say. But if you don't have a garlic press, just chop it up real fine. All right, I do apologize if this setup probably is not ideal, but this is about the best I can do in my situation. So you take a couple of your tomatoes and you can throw them, let me get some tongs, and you throw them in your boiling water because we're blanching them. And if you hadn't seen how I blanched the peaches, then you can go back and I'll link that video somewhere. I'll link it. And shoot, hold on, I forgot one thing. You want to just kind of score the tomatoes. Now bigger tomatoes you just score at the bottom, but these, the bottom is really about too small. But that scoring, what it does, it helps to release the skin, and you're just barely going to go in there. And I about halfway messed these up where I put them into before I done this. But anyway, learn from my mistakes, people. So, but you're only going to want them in just a few minutes, or not a few minutes, 30 seconds to a minute. You just kind of want them in there. You're going to watch, and then when that skin starts to peel away like that, now let me see if I can pull that in. Can you see how that skin's pulling away? I hope so. But anyway, when that skin starts pulling away, then dump them immediately into your ice water. And I just hope I don't overcook this. That skin is loose. That skin is loose. See, it doesn't take long. Just don't forget to score it first, because that will mess you up if you don't. Alright, I'm going to continue this, and then I'll meet you back over at my counter to finish peeling them. I'll be darned, none of that. I forgot to hit record, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'll show you again here in a minute. All I done was peel the tomatoes, and then if I seen any little dark spot, I took my little paring knife and I cut it out, and then I cut off the tops. And I started off trying to see if I liked cutting these in here, and I think I've got a topper here. Instead of it being this little bitty, I believe that's a 1/4 inch. I think the other one I've got, if I can find it, is a 1/2 inch or it's an inch or 1/2 inch. And I think I'll like that better. So let me find that and I will be right back. I found it, and you can obviously see that this cutter is larger than the one that I used to cut up the peppers and the onion. But I felt like the tomatoes should be just a little bit bigger. Here are the next round of tomatoes. I'm just showing you how easy it is to peel them. And as you see, if there's any little black spots or anything, just cut those out. And it's no big deal, or any bruised spots. But I didn't show you earlier, whenever I remove the tomatoes out of the ice water, I put them over my colander to kind of just sit and drain until I'm able to get to them. And so it's just sort of a rotation, I guess you could say, an assembly line. If you had helpers, it's a lot easier. And you want, by the time that you cut your tomatoes up and everything, you want 9.5 cups of tomatoes. Next, I am cutting up my cilantro. I don't like it, the stems you see there. So I try to separate it, and I try to pick off the leaves the best I can. Sometimes there's a few stems in there, and that's okay. But for the most part, I try to just pick off the leaves. Then roughly chop those leaves up, and then put those in with the rest of the ingredients. Now, as far as cilantro goes, I personally like the taste of cilantro. I think it makes your salsa and some of your Mexican dishes more authentic. Some people do not like the taste of cilantro. They think it tastes like soap. I do not feel that way, but some people do. So you can put anywhere from 1/2 cup to 1 cup of cilantro in this salsa. I put a cup of my cup of cilantro in here. So far I've got 9.5 cups of tomatoes, 2 cups of onions, 2 cups of bell pepper, 10 cloves of garlic, 1 cup of jalapeno peppers, 1 cup of cilantro. The next, what I'm going to put in is 2 teaspoons, I believe, I'll double check on that, but 2 teaspoons of salt, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, a 1/4 cup of lime juice, 1 tablespoon of cumin, and that's it. And I'm probably going to cover this up, put it in the fridge until I can get to it to where I can can it, hopefully later, because we've got some corn we got to take care of. So I'm going to get this together, stick it in my fridge. Then I'll be boiling it for 15 minutes. I'll put it on the stove, cook it for 15 minutes. Then I will put it in pint jars. It takes 6 pint jars, and it will be processed for 15 minutes. And I will leave the recipe in the description box. I am back with the salsa. I think we killed our microwave today. We was working on that corn, and it was kind of acting up anyway over the last week or so, but I think it finally just bit the dust today. So I have no lighting over top my range, so I'm sorry if you can't see real well. Hopefully you can with this other lighting. But I brought this back out of the fridge, and I'm just going to heat it up, let it cook for about 15 minutes. Then I'm going to put it, I washed my pint jars, and they're in here. We're going to sterilize. Then I'm going to, like I said, cook this for about 15 minutes, jar it up, put it back in here, and then let them process for another 15, and then my salsa will be done. I'm telling you what, you all, unless it changes during the cooking time or whatever, this salsa is amazing. Oh gosh, it is so good. It's kind of a cross between a salsa and a pico de gallo. So if you like pico de gallo, you'll like this, but it's kind of like a cross in between the two. But it is really good. All right, I'm gonna let this cook for 15 minutes, and I will meet you back whenever I get ready to start canning them up in my jars. I'm just gonna start canning up now.
All right, we will be doing a 1/2-inch headspace on this salsa. Look how good that looks and smells. Now we're going to take our little pokey Joe and we're going to go around the edge. Try to release some of those bubbles, and then ouch, right in the center. So I've got my water with vinegar in my little bowl over here, and like always, we're going to make sure that we wipe that rim. See? Remember, put it on till you feel tension, and then just. Okay, hopefully you can see that. My light is about dead, so it's not going to be as bright. But here we go again, and we're just going to go up to 1/2-inch headspace. Maybe I'll try not to overfill it too bad this time. Okay, so I'm going to go around the outer edge. We're good there. I actually got 7 pints instead of 6, so here we go. Careful, careful. Woo. Yeah, woo, that's hot. I already turned it up, so it's going to start boiling fairly quick. But once it starts to boil completely, we're going to time it for 15 minutes, and that's it. Timer just went off. Took the lid off. Well, I turned the burner off. I took the lid off. I'm going to let it sit 5 minutes, and then I'm going to bring the rack up, let it sit for 5 more minutes before I take it to my towel. Good night. I wanted to tell you guys something. I come back, this is day number 2, and I still had quite a bit of vegetables left, so I wanted to go ahead and make another batch of salsa. And that salsa I made last night was good. It is very mild, and it's a little bit, I guess for me, it's a little bit too sweet, even though I still liked it, and I will definitely eat it. But it was just a little bit too sweet for my liking, because I've sort of, the way I cook, I always compile different recipes, and then I sort of come up with my own. And one of the recipes that called for a 1/4 cup of sugar. Well, I think that's too much. I think it needs 1/8 a cup. And I can send the link, the Pinterest link, where I've got my inspiration, my biggest inspiration anyway. I've looked at a few others, but this is the main one. I'll send that in the link in the description box below. Anyway, my main thing of babbling, I wanted to come and say, this is day 2. I've made a new batch. What I done with this batch, about half or maybe even a little over half, I did not de-seed the jalapeno peppers. I just cut the top off, put it in my little thing that, you seen me yesterday smacking my little cutter thing that cut through this. I just cut the top off, put it on my thing that dices for me, and smacked them all in there. So it's got a bunch of the seeds and a bunch of the membrane. So that has increased the heat. And I cut down the sugar. And I don't remember, well, yeah, I think I told you it was 2 tablespoons or 2 teaspoons, I couldn't remember, of salt. It's actually 2 tablespoons of salt. So some of the changes I made to yesterday's, it's 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons or 1/8 a cup, whatever you want to call it, of sugar, and changed it to 2 tablespoons of cumin. This is that chili lime adobo seasoning. I got it at Walmart, I'm pretty positive. And I increased that to, because I had a 1/2 teaspoon in the one yesterday, and so I've increased that to actually 2 teaspoons in total. So I've got 2 teaspoons of this. I've also checked pH. I actually forgot to do that yesterday before I canned it. And I checked the pH. It's been sitting here a minute. Let me recheck it and then I'll be right back. I bought these little pH indicators, universal indicator papers, pH. And I bought it off of, Lord have mercy, I guess it was Amazon. I don't know, a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure. And it come with, I still have another one of these somewhere, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it had 6 in the pack. And you see I've not used much at all. And all you do, we have this little indicator. You're just going to take one of the little strips and just pull it off. Sometimes it feels like I got more than one. I'm trying to make sure. But anyway, you just pull one of those little strips off and then just stick it in whatever solution that you're trying to get the pH on. I use this towel indigo to put some of my peppers on. So I'm gonna let that soak just a bit. Then what you do, after it dries a bit, you compare it to the little indicator there. Okay, so it's like, is it 6? No, it's more orangey than 6. Is it 5? It's kind of close to 5. Is it 4? It's pretty close to 4. So to me, it's definitely not a 6. To me, it's kind of like between a 5 and a 4. And honestly, now that I've let it sit a little bit longer, I think it's even darker, and it's real close to a 4 now. That was the first strip I did. Let me see. It's most definitely darker than but it's not quite as dark as that. I still think it's in between and closer to the 4. And when I done my research, and I found out that you need a pH level of 4.6 or lower. So if that's in between a 5 and a 4, then I'm guessing it's probably a good 4.6, 4.5, something like that. So it says 4.6 or lower. So I feel confident, I feel safe that this has got enough acid in it to be able to can safely and properly. Because it's got lime juice, it's got apple cider vinegar, plus the acid of the tomatoes. I feel like it's going to be fine, but I'll check it one more time before I start canning. But I'm not going to show you all of that again. I just wanted to tell you the changes I made. So with this video, you're going to have 2 choices. You're going to have a very mild, possibly sweeter, or you can still do it mild and just still cut back the sugar, but do everything else the same. So you will have a very mild salsa, or you will have one, I would call this medium. I don't think I would call it hot. Now, if you want it hot, then put you a couple habanero peppers, or something like that, but one of the hotter peppers in it, or do every single pepper, the whole cup full, do every one of those. And with the seeds, like I said, I did about half, a little over half with the seeds in the membrane. So there you go, y'all. There's your 2 versions of salsa. And one last thing, there is yesterday. That's the one that I canned yesterday. I still have to wash the jar. I'm not going to go through all that process again of showing you how to wash the jar, the lid, and how to inspect and all that, because I've got several videos out now on canning, so you can go back to one of those to see how I wash and do all of that. But this was yesterday's I wanted to show you. So after I put this one down today, I'm sure it's going to look very similar to that. Peekaboo! Alright, that's it for the video. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. If you've not really learned anything, I hope it was at least kind of funny, or you found some kind of entertainment from it. So again, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, I really hope you do, become part of our family and help this channel grow. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, and that kind of helps to send it out, so other people can watch and figure us out. And also turn the notification bell on. And I think that's it. So if you have any questions, obviously leave any questions down in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer you. If I don't know the answer, I'll research it. I'll do what I can to try to figure it out. And if I still can't figure it out from that point, I'll tell you I don't know. I won't ever lie to you. That's one thing I won't do. If you have anything, comment, question, anything, leave it down in the comments below. And I think that's all. So I'll shut up gabbing, and I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, evening, night, whatever, morning, whatever time it is for you. And I will talk to you in the next one.